I worry about how many of us are making apps. I think there are too many of us making apps, guys. I think too many of us watch Netflix. And so sometimes you kind of forget that this is not Manhattan. And so what we're doing is we're solving first world problems, but you live in a third world context. You know, let me just expand on this. I wonder if you guys have thought about this, but a part of South Africa's challenge in my mind is that the systems are architectured using first world architecture, but 80% of the population lives in the third world. That's why we come from where we come from to work where we work and then go back to where we come from. You know, you go into any township in a weekday after 5 o'clock and the smog is pretty clear. You can see the smog. Everybody uses coal-fired stoves. But people are talking about renewable energy. And our government is spending money financing renewable energy when our people are living in a third world construct. Do you know what I mean? There's a kid right now somewhere writing an app about dating, but the road he lives in has potholes. Sometimes I think we just got to fix the problems of where we are, not the problems of where we wished we were. So to your point about context, I tell you who's fantastic at this, and you guys are not going to like the answer. Afrikaners, boy. Afrikaners are good at living in the reality they're in and solving problems for the reality they have. You know, that's kind of why they created Oranje. Not all of them. I don't want to be all-inclusive. You know, but for me, ShopRite is Afrikaner owned, right? Pepco, Afrikaner owned. Don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know that Pepco is the largest retailer of airtime in South Africa? Larger even than Blue Telecoms, Blue Label. Pepco is the largest retailer of nappies in the African continent. Pepco sells, true story, Pepco sells more t-shirts per hour than BMW sells cars per year. That's Pepco. But so you go and check what the executives of Pepco earn. Yet when I mention it, siyabahleka. Aye, Pep.
What we as angel investors or venture capitalists look for whenever we try to support an innovation or an idea or a business and want to invest in it, it's based on five realities. And one of the realities is definitely that you must be solving a need, not a want. Now, there's a big difference between a want and a need. And a want is not something that the adoption will be fast on. The traction won't be fast because it's like a by-the-way thing, you know. So us as investors, we look for people who are solving the needs, where we know that you need this thing. This thing has made your life so easy and you can't do without it. And a simple solution like e-hailing, you know, you need to move from point A to point B. It's not like it's a want. You can know you need to move because you need to go to meetings, you need to go to this, and it makes your life easy. You can pay without having to pay cash and all of that. So, but the other realities of anything that we look at as investors, we look at the team, obviously, that's involved, the experience that they have. So it's one of the 5 things that we look at. The secondly, we look at the ownership of the technology. And then the third one, we look at the traction, which is based on the need, because if there's no need, you won't get double-digit growth in terms of adoption and revenue. And then we also look at the market that you are servicing. You know, is it a market that really has got growth potential across borders? Is it something that will be your product, this is something that will be required all over the world because it makes life easy, like Uber, like makes life easy for everyone in the world. So it's not limited to a particular region or border. So we look at that, whether the target market is a scalable target market. And then the last one is, obviously, we look at you as a person. Is it, Are you a do or die guy where you know that if I put my investment in you, you're not going to get slapped once and fall, and then you don't cry and go back to work, and then I as an investor have lost my money. So you want a guy who will keep fighting to make this thing happen, so that I know that my money with this guy is very safe. So yes, there are things that we look for as investors, but primarily is that we would like most of the investments that we make to be the ones that are helping to solve real issues. But again, you cannot stop someone from being creative, because if they feel that that solution is a nice solution because he's struggling to date, then he creates this solution because he wants to date. It's his problem. He feels that he needs it. So to him, it's more important than the pothole, because he doesn't have a car. So he doesn't want to drive he doesn't care about a pothole. He thinks that's government's problem, but his immediate problem is dating. He wants a girlfriend, So you can't really judge, on what people, and like there's a lady yesterday that presented and was pitching, and she was building a watch. Now this watch alerts you when your blood levels are low and all of that, because she's got epilepsy. Now, for you who doesn't have epilepsy, you don't think it's a need, you understand. But can you imagine how many people would need that, who are epileptic and who know that if my level drops to this much and my watch is letting me know, I can quickly do something about it before I collapse, because they don't know that after they collapse, what's going to happen to their lives. So for them, it might not be a need to the entire world, to the entire country, but to that specific group of people, it's a need. So I'm just trying to say that you can never judge in terms of what people define as a need or a want, but there is a scalable market where the market size is huge, and they can afford, and there also is a huge need, and then there you can do well with your innovation.
So hey guys, I've done a review on Vusi's and Lebo's opinions about real problem solving in South Africa, and I've come up to my own conclusion. And my conclusion is basically similar to what Vusi thinks about real problem solving. I'm going to use, my own company as an example of a real problem that we solve, and the dynamics of it, and the problems that we are actually going through right now when it comes to, funding and getting things done. So, what we do is we build Wi-Fi community networks for rural areas and townships. And what that essentially means is that we need to get someone in the township who is basically unskilled and take them, train them, give them equipment, and once we've given them equipment, they can then build a Wi-Fi community network, of which then they can sell vouchers to create revenue, which then opened up another problem for us, which is solving the problem of the unbanked market in South Africa, especially those in rural areas that do not have loads of money or enough money to actually open a bank account because they've invested most of their money in livestock. They can only spend maybe 20 Rand, 40 Rand, 100 Rand at a time. So we then created wallet.bequest.co.za to service that market as well. So then what that essentially means is that the person who we trained to build the Wi-Fi community network can now collect money from the community and credit those people via the wallet, and those people can have money in the wallet to buy stuff online, products that they feel are important to them or solve a problem for them. And when it comes to problems that we have ran into, is something that Vusi also stresses a lot about and talks about a lot, where we've applied to a zero-rated government organization like Small Enterprise Finance Agency, SIFA, And they looked at our application and they decided, although we have, you know, a market that we're servicing, but they're not sure whether we can service the larger market. And that just essentially means that we can't build a network that will be sustainable or viable according to them. And besides, your bigger service providers, your internet, your telcos in South Africa, they believe that, as in SIFA believes that they can service that market, and they are already servicing that market, which is, according to us, a lie. Because why would we be getting traction if this, you know, were a lie? What we are doing wasn't actually solving a problem. We've actually done it with another, you know, company organization that we helped build up, and then we left, and then we built another community network in the Eastern Cape, which recently started and is now selling vouchers to the community. So that is a real problem. We are helping people in rural areas and townships to build their own, you know, skills and create their own revenue to, you know, fill up their stomachs at the end of the day with food, and also to give them a platform where they can, you know, get themselves banked without having to pay too many charges, you know, high charges from the normal banks in South Africa, the big organizations that we know of. So looking at, you know, the problems that Vusi and Lebo were talking about there, which is, you know, dating apps. To me, there's a problem there. If you are going to solve a problem with an app, you need to look at the offline method first. So if you look at the offline method of, you know, dating apps, you would usually go to, you know, a church, or you would go to a spiritual retreat, or, you know, to a bar, and you would meet someone and you would start dating them. I don't see a problem with that, and it's actually much safer, according to me, because dating apps, you don't know who the other person is. It could be a fake account, you know, so it could be catfished. You never know, and that's the crazy thing about them. So I don't see it as a real problem, you know, for me. But someone else might see it, because I have friends who have met, you know, their partners on these platforms. And then there's other problems, like people trying to solve the bus availability problem. They think that because you can't see the schedule of a bus, it necessarily means that you need an application to know the location of the bus. But when you look at the real problem, I used to take bus, for instance, when I used to go to school, and all I would do is, I knew there was two buses, the 7:15 bus and the 7:30 or 8:30 bus, and I knew if I missed all three of those buses, then I'd be late for school. So I would wake up early and go to school with the earliest bus that I can catch. And there's a lot of these buses, and if I really wanted a schedule, I could really ask for a schedule from, you know, the service provider. So that's another thing. You need to look at the real problem, because there's other problems within buses, like, you know, them breaking down, maybe, you know, helping the bus service provider know when a bus is about to break down or something like that, so that they don't waste passengers' times, you know, with a bus that has died somewhere in the middle of the road. Something like that, or providing Wi-Fi, you know, onboard Wi-Fi on buses or at the bus station. That's something you can look at instead of looking at bus availability, because at the end of the day, I'm willing to wait. I don't have the money to be, you know, looking at the whereabouts of a bus using my data. If I'm taking bus, it's very likely that I don't have that kind of money to buy data to do that in the first place. And there's another kid as well who Vusi sort of supports, I would say, in one of his clips. And this kid created a soccer boot that is meant for South African turf or South African fields, which are generally not watered very well, and the grass is scraped off or something. And if you look at that problem, it's been solved already. I used to play soccer back in the day. I know quite a bit about it, and we used to use turf boots, which was the Nike Tempo at the time, and there were other brands from China and all that you could buy and use for these purposes. So to me, that problem has been solved, but they're supporting it because it's a South African, guy that's trying to start up, and I think, the people that stood up and supported the kid mainly felt that, there's a need, but I don't see the need because Nike Tempo is still out there. There's still other turf boots that are out there, so he's got a huge competitor, problem, according to me. Then, if you look at, your funding organizations, what Vusi says about SIFA, the zero-rated organizations in South Africa, I do believe what he's saying is true when it comes to that. These guys are getting money at a zero rate from the government, from Treasury, and they're taking that money in the fear that if they give it to, entrepreneurs like myself to go out and do something and try something, to build, the economy in South Africa, they feel that if I fail and they go back to the government and say, oh, we've lost everything, then it defeats their purpose. But in actual fact, in a developing country, they shouldn't be seeing it that way. And that's a big problem, I do believe. So they now, besides becoming a zero-rated organization, they become a fund of funds, like Vusi says as well. And they end up supporting private equity firms. And these private equity firms usually expect a lot of returns, up to 6 times the return. And that's crazy amounts for any business that's starting out in a developing country like South Africa. So guys, that's my opinion about what's going on in South Africa. And this is actually like my first attempt at making videos. So if you like what I'm doing, let me know, and I am more than happy to create more videos and talk more about business and the general problem solving in South Africa and the dynamics. Thanks.